Hi, and welcome to Week 6 of Inside the Huddle. I'm Geoff Stoute here with Morgan City head coach Scott Tregle, where the Tigers this week will travel to face South Lafourche. Morgan City comes into the game 4-1 after suffering their first loss a week ago in a heartbreaker, a 28-21 defeat to Westminster. Um, Turnovers for the Tigers. They had two costly turnovers, and Westminster greatly limited their run game in the second half. And just they couldn't get over the hump. They did have a good game passing. Abram Hartley completed 12 of 25 passes for 209 yards with a touchdown and two picks. And Mekhi Richard had an excellent game receiving with 9 catches for 159 yards and a score. Ethan Ciano led the offense with the rushing game with 11 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown. Tigers had a chance to win at the end. It just didn't work out that way. Phillips, Scott, and Ciano lead the Tigers' run game this season. They're all fairly close. Phillips has 41 carries, 273 yards, and 5 scores. Scott, 61 carries, 267, and 3 touchdowns. And Ciano, 35 carries, 266, and 4 touchdowns. Hartley's completed 21 of 52 passes for 368 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And Richard leads the receivers with 13 catches for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns. Coach, this week, first of all, I guess you'd say start off in the preseason. Whenever I talked to you, you said that it was critical these first couple of weeks of the season that you get wins, build momentum going into district. Obviously, I'd like to be 5-0, but 4-1, and one that could have gone maybe one that was decided in OT. You still got to feel pretty good about where you're at going in the district.
Yeah, we do. We just kind of got lackadaisical the last couple of weeks at practice, and we, like I said in the earlier interview with you, for the paper, that their coaching staff just had them well prepared. They had different game plan that we thought they were going to have. We went in with the same game plan, same defense we've been running, and we figured we're going to execute and do what we do, and they took it away, and we had to come out and start throwing the ball. We're not used to doing, but they were cutting our linemen down. They stopped the run, and at first we were getting to the outside, and they stopped that. So we had to come back and start throwing the ball. They packed everybody in the box. They're one-on-one with our receivers, and we made them pay for it, but it just happened a little too late, and our defense just didn't play very hard. And we gave up some turnovers and some big plays that we shouldn't have, and it's an eye-opening experience. We just had to regroup this week, and now we're going to playing South Lafourche. They have 28 seniors on the team. That's over half of our team is seniors. We got 9, and we're going to have a couple injuries. Not bad, but just nicked up from last week. So hopefully we go down there and we just compete. I want to win. They just outman us, but I want the kids to go down there and compete, That's all I can ask from them.
You talk a little bit about South Lafourche, what they do offensively, defensively?
Offensively, they run a spread, but they really run eye plays out of the spread. They run power. They run trap. They run sweep, which is basically a stretch out of the eye, But they line up in a spread formation, but they run the ball. They run the eye plays, and they run out of the pistol and the split back. So, it's just a cover-up,
And defensively?
Defensively, they run a 4-2-5. They shift down to 4-3 sometime. Every team I've seen them play, they run a cover 2 against them, but those are all spread teams. So Plaquemine last week got gotten a wing tee, and they were still in the cover 2, but they walked some guys down on some different situations. So
expect more attention at the box, in the box.
Oh, yeah. So they're going to do the same thing. They're going to crowd us in there, and, we put in a few formations this week and spread them out a little bit. We're going to still run the ball. We're going to still, do our thing. But we're going to have to throw the ball a little more, from here on out. That's all there is to it.
So, all right, Coach, before we let you go, add a little something to the second round of Inside the Huddle, get to know the coach a little more. So 5 questions for you. If you weren't a coach or a teacher, what would you be doing right now?
I'd love to be a commercial fisherman.
Commercial fisherman?
Yeah.
You do a lot of fishing on the side?
I try.
Okay. How do you, well, maybe this is the same answer to this one. How do you spend your time away from football?
Hunting and fishing. That's about the only hobby I have away from school and football. That's about it.
Okay. What's your thoughts on the Saints season thus far?
The Saints are, they're in a tough situation. They lost some really good players because of financial. They just couldn't pay them. And then you replace them with guys that are not that as good as those guys are, and then you got to go compete against your same schedule. And Breeze is getting older. Their running game is there, but they just don't have the passing game and the defense like they usually do.
So, okay. And what drew you to coach football?
My dad and my family inspired me to do it. I've been around it all my life. I always told myself I wasn't going to do it because I saw how broke we were growing up, and my dad trying to support us, and I said, no, I'm going to go for some little more pay, And then I started, I got into regular jobs and working, and I started coaching with him on the side, and I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do, So I went to school, and I got my degree, and here I am.
Okay. And lastly, you could go back to high school and replay one game. Which one would it be and why?
Definitely St. Martinville. They beat us 14-10. That was our first district game. I threw a touchdown pass. They called it back for holding, and we tried the same play again, and I barely overthrew the receiver. And we could have won that game, And we were still winning at the time, but I look back on it. If that touchdown would have happened, we'd have won that game.
Was that your senior year?
Yeah, my senior year.
All right, Coach. Appreciate it, and good luck the rest of the season.
All right, thank you.
In other action this week, this week's football action will start off with a Thursday contest between Patterson and Berwick. Patterson enters the contest having won 3 in a row. Their most recent, a 44-24 victory against Kaplan a week ago. In that game, Sebastian Charles was his usual productive self. He completed 14 of 16 passes for 225 yards, 4 touchdowns, and rushed 11 times for 76 yards and 2 scores. Tristan Osama also had 7 rushes for 72 yards, while Nehemiah Augustus caught 4 passes for 107 yards and a touchdown. Osama leads the Patterson run game this season with 75 carries for 352 and 6 touchdowns, while Charles is a dual threat. He's completed 59 of 92 passes for 867 yards, 10 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions, and he's rushed 70 times for 333 yards and 2 scores. Augustus leads the receivers with 16 catches for 284 and 2 scores. Meanwhile, their opponent Berwick, a week ago, snapped their 2-game winning streak was snapped with a 40-14 loss to Erath. Erath didn't lead by much at halftime, but they broke it open in the third quarter en route to the win. For Berwick, Colin Louviere led the offense again. Like he did against Franklin. He completed 8 of 23 for 109 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He carried 17 times for 80 yards and a touchdown. Keenan Jones caught 5 passes for 97 yards and a touchdown. He leads the Berwick offense. Louviere leads the offense this season. He's completed 33 of 76 passes for 553 yards and 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And he also leads the run game. 62 carries for 252 yards and 2 scores. Aldwin Williams last week, the Berwick's leading receiver and the leading receiver in the area, was held without a catch. So they'll definitely be looking to get him going again this week. He has 22 catches for 415 yards and 6 touchdowns this season. It's going to be a matchup that an improved Berwick team against a Patterson team that seems to be coming along, and we'll have to wait and see how that one turns out. Central Catholic, meanwhile, will be at home Friday against Highland Baptist. Last week, Central Catholic dominated Centerville 54-12. The Eagles limited Highland Baptist to minus 40 yards rushing, minus 8 total offense, and 32 yards passing. Stefano Garisco again was dominant, 12 carries for 156 yards and 3 touchdowns and another receiving touchdown of 77 yards, and he was out by about midway through the second quarter. DeMarcus Mitchell and Blake Byrne each threw a touchdown pass. And Mitchell threw for 89 yards. Grisco leads the offense this season with 123 carries for 1,063 yards and 16 touchdowns. And Burns completed 21 of 38 passes for 414 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And Greg Leger, who caught a touchdown last week, leads the receivers with over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns on 7 catches. This week will actually be interesting. It's a battle of 2 1,000-yard rushers 5 games into the season. Central Catholic Stefano Garisco and Highland Baptist's Bronte Griffin. Coach Minton said Griffin is a physical runner that they're going to have to stop, who's key to the Highland Baptist wing T offense. He doesn't believe, of course, that he's not going to get any yards. He knows he's going to give up yards, but he likes to contain those yards inside between the 20-yard lines and eliminate big plays. On defense, he said that they run a 4-man front. They line up in a 4-man front, and they're big, and they play a lot of zone. That's it for another week of Inside the Huddle. Thanks for joining.